know what I did this morning on the way into work? No, you don't know, but on the way to the studio this morning, I listened to the Star Spangled Banner from Madison Rising. Yes. Yeah, I put the CD in the truck, and that's a good way to start your morning off.
Yeah, that is a great way to start your morning
off. And I'm wearing my official Madison Rising t-shirt right now.
I decided that I'm going to wear the Madison Rising t-shirt for the
at NRA.
And that too.
For the what series?
Fitness.
Fitness? Fitness? You like fitness?
Yeah, fitness.
Jared likes fitness. All right. Well, very cool. It's midweek. Welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. In case you didn't know it, I am still your host, Professor Paul Markle, and I am coming to you from the official Glass Case of Emotion Studios. It's located in the sunny Gulf Coast. Jared, I see you're wearing your official Student of the Gun shirt today.
Am I?
Yeah. Oh. You want a sticker?
Yeah, I would like to have a sticker.
Tell Zach to give you a sticker.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And you're just like, what are you talking about? Well, what we're talking about is in 2 short days, we will be on the floor of the, what's the convention center called? It's called like Music City Convention Center. I think so.
I haven't even had time to think about that.
I think it's, well, start thinking. It's going to be the Music City Convention Center in Nashville for the NRA annual meeting and exhibits. I said that right, I believe. Exhibits. Exhibit A. But the reason I mentioned the shirt thing is because if you guys are wearing your Student of the Gun shirts or a Patriot Fire Team shirt, or if you're really classy and you're wearing a Fighting Solves Everything shirt, and you come up to us and say hi, we will give you an official Student of the Gun high-quality vinyl sticker. So there's that. Speaking of high-quality vinyls and what have you, did we decide that we're going to do a team pack for the Patriot Fire Team books?
Yes.
Because the brown Santa Claus pulled up yesterday with a great big heavy box. Speaking of heavy boxes, I forgot to bring your armor in. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's fine.
But a great big heavy box full of Patriot Fire Team books.
I thought that came here.
No, it came to the house. So anyway, if we're going to do that, a lot of you guys said you wanted it, so Jared's going to put it together for you. And we're going to, in addition to the super cool books, you're going to get an official Patriot Fire Team Symbology vinyl. I think the word you're searching for is...
I think it's symbolism.
Symbolism. Go get me a coffee.
Yeah.
I'll be wanting a bagel. All right. Some of you got that, and some of you didn't.
If you didn't, then I don't know what to say.
You need to go to the team room.
Yeah.
You need to go sit in the team room and watch some movies.
The movies that I've been introduced to at the team room. It's pretty funny.
Remember the Black Dynamite experience?
Yeah.
I don't care what's in there. Take it out and put that movie in.
Okay. That's funny. And I've had a couple people contact me recently and ask, how do I get the PFT vinyl? Because we don't have that on the store.
No.
So the only way to get that vinyl is going to be to get it with the bundled shirts.
With the team pack. Not the shirts.
I mean the books. Bundled books.
And we're going to do a team pack for you guys. All right, well, it's Wednesday, so you guys know what that means. If you don't know what that means, well, hang on to your hats because it's the official SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk Day. And Jared's going to go ahead. He's got a topic that he's excited to talk about. So I'm going to close my mouth, and you can just jump into the fitness talk.
Physically fit, physically fit, physically fit, woman, physically fit, woman, nice, trick, fantastic, big your body out in the big tight and woman and nice, sweet, energetic, big your body out in the big tight and woman, nice, trick, fantastic, big your body out in the big tight.
Thank you to King Julian for bumping me in here, and this week's SWAT Fuel Fitness segment, I'm going to talk to you guys about having a focused mind. I've talked about mindset before and why it's important in working out or shooting. And I want to kind of elaborate on having a focused mind while you're doing whatever it is that you need to, or whatever it is that you're doing. And having a focused mind is hard for some people because when you have a focused mind, you're really focusing on yourself and nothing else. For instance, when I go in and I work out, my mind is completely focused on working out. I don't think about other stuff. I do exactly what I need to do when I work out. That's what I think about. I think about in the moment, at that moment in time. I don't think about the past. I don't think about the future. I think about what I'm doing then. And that's important because if you don't dedicate your mind to what you're doing, then you're not reaping the benefits that you could reap if you did. And that's another part of the book that I picked up the other day that I've had for a few years, The Combat Conditioning by Matt Fury. He went over that again, and I'm glad that he did that. I'm glad that I read that again because I kind of forgot about it. I kind of forgot that focusing on working out while you're working out and nothing else helps you reap the benefits of what you're doing. And have you heard that before?
Yeah. It's people have called it combat focus and so forth, and it has varying degrees. There's actually a book out called Handgun Combatives by Dave Spalding, and he talks about not only focusing in the moment, but preparing for the moment by focusing. And what Dave took. He took his Handgun Combatives, he took the mind focus, he took it from professional sports journals and from professional sports training. Essentially, they talked about, one of the examples that he gave was the free throw, the basketball free throw, and how in order to do it correctly every single time, he goes, it wasn't just enough to do it physically, you had to do it mentally. You had to actually focus and think it through. And I think what you're talking about right there, whether it's throwing a punch or a kick or lifting a weight or whatever, and I find since we watched that Michael Jai White video, I've actually been, when I'm hitting the bag, I'm focusing, and it's like you said about throwing it on all your punches on a straight line. Imagine that you're throwing the punches on the straight line, but I envision that. I think about it. I focus my mind on, okay, I'm going to do that right. And I also I learned this a long time ago. I don't remember which instructor it was, and I'm sorry, but it's probably 30 years ago, that you're better off focusing and doing it right than you are doing it halfway. And the point in that is when people are doing physical activities, as you continue, you get tired, whether it's punching or kicking or anything, swinging a baseball bat, swinging a golf club. After you've done it so many times, you get a little fatigued, and it's easy to get sloppy. And you're like, well, no big deal. You're better off just to stop than to do a whole bunch of poor repetitions. Mm-hmm. You're better to stop punching the bag than to throw a bunch of crappy punches. And the way you do that, and the way you know, is mental focus. Because people will, if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you just become like this mindless robot, and pretty soon you're doing things wrong or halfway, and you've done it 50 times, and that's part of the mental focus.
For instance, when I've found from when teaching people how to punch or kick or whatever, and then I have them do bag work. A lot of the beginners, when you're a beginner, they want to, it doesn't matter how well they do the punches, they want to throw them as hard as they can, as fast as they can, and just as many as they can, instead of focusing on, okay, I'm going to do it slow. And he's like, I want to look, basically, the way one dude put it to me, he's like, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, but you don't know what you're doing.
I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing.
If you really don't know what you're doing, then you need to focus on doing it the correct way before you do it fast.
And folks, this isn't just about PT or physical. This is student of the gun. It goes down to shooting. I don't know how many students I've seen basically throw rounds away or shoot bad rounds because they weren't focused on doing it right. They weren't focused on their front sight. They weren't focused on the trigger press. They weren't focused on they're just making noise and generating empty brass because they know how to do the gross motor skills. And so they're doing the gross motor skills, but it's not really helping them. You're better off to go to the range and shoot 10 perfect shots, as in focused shots. You do way better to do that than to go and blow off 50 rounds just bah, 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 bah. Everybody knows those guys. You've seen them. You've gone to the public ranges. and the guys that get out there and they throw a milk jug out in front of them 15 yards and they just sit there and they empty magazines. They're not getting anything from that. They're just, they're keeping the ammo companies in business, so, rock on. That's nice. But they're not getting anything productive from that. And the truth is, guys, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, have you done the one box workout? Have you read it? Because if you have, you'll realize that in there we tell you, don't worry about doing it fast. Don't worry about looking cool. Worry about doing it correctly.
Speed comes with technique.
That's right. You'll get fast. You do it correctly, and you'll be fast. So
I'm gonna give you guys that do martial arts a little lanyap. He was talking about that drawing a straight line thing. If you punch stuff, and if you don't, I feel bad for you because it's really a good stress reliever. But if you punch bags or if you punch mitts, if you punch people, what I want you to do is imagine this. Imagine you take a pencil, you draw a straight line from your chest or your chin or the center of your body to the center of the other person or the bag. And what you need to do is when you throw the punches with your left hand and your right hand, you throw them down that pencil line, pretend it's a track.
Right.
You throw both hands down that one line. Instead of drawing two lines, one from each fist to the target, you take them and you throw them down that track.
Now, this isn't hooks or uppercuts.
No, just the straight punches.
This is straight punches. There you go.
Yeah, and that right there will. You see these schoolyard fights where they're like throwing haymakers. You could hit
they're swimming.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
they're swimming.
You could hit somebody 5, 6, 7, 10 times with those before they can hit you once with a hook, with a sloppy thrown hook.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on. Thank you, Jared, for the SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk. And let's acknowledge our buddies at Century Arms. Century Arms is here to help us do Student of the Gun radio, black carbon steel microphones and all that. And they also are the main sponsor of the Student of the Gun mobile app. Mobile apps for your iPhones, your iPads, and your Android devices. Download it today. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, slave state news. No, not slave state news yet. North Carolina eliminates racist permit law. And you guys are like, what? We probably should have done a slave state one for this, but we'll save it for next time. This particular story comes from Fox8.com. It's been on several different places. If you type in North Carolina and handgun permit law, you'll get a bunch of different stories. And essentially, it's this. Right now, in the United States, not in the United States, in North Carolina, in order to purchase a handgun, you have to do one of two things first. You either have to go out and secure a concealed carry weapons permit, or you have to go to the senior law enforcement official in your jurisdiction. If you live out in the county, it's the sheriff. If you live in the city, it's a chief of police, and so forth. And I first discovered this when I was stationed at Camp Lejeune many, many moons ago, almost 3 decades ago now. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, and of course, yours truly, I've always been a gun guy. A lot of people that join the Marine Corps, the Army, or the military, the first time they ever shoot a gun is when the Army puts one in their hands. I've been a gun guy pretty much my entire life. And as a gun guy, I would go out and wherever I was stationed, I would find the local gun shop or gun stores, and I would, frequent them and nose around and what's new and what's going on and what do you have here and so forth. And I discovered in North Carolina that in order to buy a handgun, I was active duty military stationed in North Carolina. I was originally from Ohio, so I still had an Ohio driver's license. Well, the guy at the shop told me, he goes, if you want to buy a handgun, you have to get a letter from your CO. And I was like, I'm sorry, my what? Yeah, you got to get a letter from your CO. He goes, or if you lived here, you'd have to get one from the chief of police. And even when I was a young skull full of mush, I knew there was something wrong with that. I thought to myself, so I have to go ask someone's permission to buy a handgun. But I'm of age. I have money. I'm not a felon. Why can't I just buy it myself? Oh, no. There has to be a third party involved. And many years, and so I was like, okay, whatever. You're stupid, and I'm not going to play your game. And many years later, I ended up working for a security company in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was there again in North Carolina for a little while. And the same thing still applied. You had to, if you wanted to buy a handgun, you had to get a letter or a permission slip, essentially, from the chief. Now, to a thinking person, this is obviously not nationwide. And this is the sad thing, Jared. We talked about this. We talked about the elephant in the chain. People that are born and raised in a state that has these laws, they think that because that's the law, that's the way it is everywhere. And then, well, yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, people shouldn't be allowed to buy a handgun without someone else giving them permission. Have you thought about it?
So could these people go buy rifles?
Oh, yeah, you can buy a rifle or a shotgun, but you can't buy a handgun.
That makes, whatever.
Well, it makes no sense to a thinking person, but how many people do you know that just accept it? Well, that's the law.
Everybody in the state of North Carolina. Well, not everybody, but the majority of the people.
Well, that's the law. Well, what now? Okay. So here we go. Dateline. I'm going to go ahead and start reading the story, and then I'm going to give you my own personal editorial here. Mount Airy, North Carolina. Pistol permits could be eliminated altogether in North Carolina. Now, see, that's kind of deceptive. If you're not in North Carolina and you read the words pistol permits, you probably think they're talking about concealed carry permits. Because if you don't live there, you live in another state, you hear the term pistol permits. Now, unless you live in New York or some communist state like that, then you're used to the commissar telling you what you can and can't do. But if you live in free America and you read that, you're like, they're going to eliminate concealed carry permits in North Carolina? No. It's the actual permission slip, not to carry a handgun, but to actually purchase one. Okay. Pistol permits could be eliminated altogether in North Carolina. This is thanks to House Bill 562, which would amend multiple firearms laws. However, one portion of it would do away with certain general statutes, those which apply to pistol permits. Now, I really don't think that people that sponsor this legislation have a lot of ill intent. I think the problem is they don't really understand the significance of what they're trying to do, said Surry County Sheriff Graham Atkinson. Currently, to legally get a pistol in our state, you first need to apply for a permit with your local sheriff. They would do a background check and decide if you're eligible for the pistol permit. Then you would go through another background check, this time at the store selling your pistol. So what Sheriff Graham Atkinson is saying here is he believes that he, as the sheriff, has the authority to either grant or deny you permission to go to the store and do the federal background check, because you guys understand that when you go to an FFL dealer, that you have to fill out the paperwork, the 4473, and then if you don't have a concealed carry permit on you, they get on the phone and they call some faceless bureaucrat, and the faceless bureaucrat 1,000 miles away decides whether or not you are allowed to purchase that gun. Okay. So that in and of itself, to me, is very troubling, that we have an agent of the state that apparently has not read the Constitution. So, and here we go again. We have nobody who has the guts to say, excuse me, Sheriff Graham, have you read the Constitution of the United States of America? Oh, Bill of Rights, you read that? Does it say in there, what does it say? Let me see. The right of the people to keep and bear arms is up to the sheriff of the county, and he'll decide whether or not you're allowed. Pretty sure it doesn't say that. State Representative George G. Cleveland, a primary sponsor of the bill, told Fox 8 he believed that this process is too redundant. The background check would be done at a federal level anyway if we did not have the local sheriff, so there wouldn't be any way for anything to get through. But sheriff's offices in Forsyth, Yadkin, Surrey, and Wilkes counties told Fox 8 that that's not the case. Okay, here we go. We got more sheriffs here. The problem with that is that. Okay, the quote says, the problem with that is that. The NCIS system doesn't include local assaults, including domestic violence, which are an automatic disqualifier. Sheriff, you're a liar, you're disingenuous, and you're full of crap. Is it a conviction or not? Or is it a charge? Is it a charge or is it a conviction? Tell me something. Jared, can you tell me something? How many people that are recidivist criminals buy their guns, get their guns, acquire firearms by going into their local dealer and filling out a Form 4473?
I just pulled up something from February 4th, 2015. It says, woman held at gunpoint, 2 charged in home invasion. One of the people that was charged in the home invasion was also charged with possession of a weapon by felon. So you mean that these two these pistol permit background check and the local at the gun store background check are in use during this home invasion? They didn't stop him. They didn't stop this felon.
You mean laws don't stop criminals? Background checks don't stop bad people from getting guns?
No.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
March, let's see. Criminal records show he has a history of larceny convictions in February and March of 2011. And who's McCollum? McCollum's criminal history includes a possession of firearm by a felon, stolen goods, and Schedule II controlled substance, carrying a concealed weapon, receiving a stolen vehicle, and assault on a female.
Why is he still out roaming around amongst the people?
Back to 2003.
So if he was arrested and convicted of these things as recently as 2003, why is he out roaming around amongst the populace? Oh, because we can't keep felons in jail, because that doesn't do anything.
That was just the first story that came up.
Yeah.
So
that was the first story.
I typed in North Carolina home invasions.
However, Isaac and some local gun shop owners say the current process is too excessive, punishing the majority of would-be gun owners for the actions of the few. We're sinking the whole ship just because 1 or 2 people, Isaac said. Instead of a 3-day wait, they could just come in, find the firearm they want, and purchase it through a federal background check like everyone else in the world and free America does. Can we be honest for a moment with each other? I know that we have, and it's really sad that we have these sheriffs that are so afraid to relinquish any of this authority or power that they were granted. But that authority and that power was granted to them based on none other than 100% anti-black racism. What? How dare you say that? How dare you make those charges? Folks, the North Carolina handgun permit law is a leftover. It's a carryover of the Jim Crow laws that were put into place after the Civil War, at the close of the Civil War. And the reason that this permit law was put into place and maintained was so that a black man would have to go to the sheriff and ask permission from the sheriff to buy a handgun. And, of course, this is discretionary, and so they can say, "Get out of here, boy. You ain't getting no gun from me." Yes, let's be honest with ourselves. Quit dancing around all this horse crap about, well, somebody with a local assault arrest might be able to buy a gun. Oh, no, well, we better shut up. Stop being and no one has the guts to call it what it is. This is flat out socialism. It's fascism. We're going to set a state authority. We're going to give them we're going to take a state officer, and we're going to give them the authority to deny you a constitutional right. Yes, it is a constitutional right. It's codified in the Bill of Rights. But we've just decided that a person, a human, can arbitrarily deny you that. Well, just because of safety. It's bull crap, and you need to stop putting up with it. And you need to call this crap out. when this comes down the pike, you hear stories like this, you see stories like this, have the guts to call them out. And it sickens me that law enforcement officials that were duly elected by the people think that they have somehow this tacit of this authority to deny people. Well, we just can't let people buy guns. Oh, hey, Jared, did you know in North Carolina that is there an exemption for people who work for the state? Oh, but no, this doesn't apply. This is only for peasants. I forgot. I'm sorry. My bad. These laws only apply. These lies only apply to the peasants. These laws only apply to the peasants. All right, I'm all done with that story. Moving on. We got another one here for you, and it's a little bit insane, and you're not going to be surprised because it comes from a slave state, and this is a slave state that we haven't talked about in a while, so let's do it.
Before we get into the slave state news, I want to take a moment to thank Velocity Triggers and Brownells for making the next half hour, the next 15 minutes, the next however long we're going to be talking possible. And if you guys are going to NRA show, obviously visit Velocity Triggers. I believe it's booth 125 or something like that. It's booth 120 something.
You should probably write that down eventually.
Yeah, well, the email list is going to go out to our subscribers.
You say that.
I mean, the email, it is an email. It's a list that's going to be in the email, and it's going to be sent to you tomorrow.
To me?
Today. You got it today. They got it today.
Wednesday?
Check your inboxes.
Check your inbox, hippies. All right. And Brownells at brownells.com.
And what are they? They've been serious about firearms since 1939.
That's what I heard.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see me stand the show.
Oh, Lord in heaven. Apparently, we're going to have, they're trying up in Connecticut. They're trying to figure out another way to get more comfortable slaves to line up and disarm themselves. This story comes to us from thehill.com. Bill would pay gun owners to hand over assault weapons. Yeah, you heard that right. That's exactly what it says. I'm just so depressed. Here we go. The Support Assault Firearm Elimination and Education of Our Streets Act.
The SAFER Act. Wow.
Where do they get the R? It says Support Assault Firearm Elimination and Education of Our Streets Act. So if you speak English, you support assault firearm elimination and education of our streets. So we're educating the streets? The streets need to be educated now? I don't understand.
It's the SAFISA Act. The SAFISA, that's what it is. Wow, safer.
Is expected to be reintroduced next week by Representative Rosa DeLauro, who looks like Spock or Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction, depending on the way she's standing at the moment. She said, this is what she said, assault weapons are not about hunting or even self-defense, according to her. Apparently she's an expert in self-defense.
So why do police have them?
Oh, and hunting. It says, there is no reason on earth other than to kill as many people as possible in as short as time as possible that anyone needs a gun designed for the battlefield. Okay, well, A, you're a liar. But besides the fact that you're a liar, let's go ahead and take her at her word. Hey, Rosa DeLauro, Spock, Perry Farrell looking puke face. In this story, they have the ubiquitous Colt, M4 with the carrying handle and all that stuff, right? It's right there in the story, and then they're using it as their assault weapon. That looks an awful lot like the same exact rifles that agents of the state run around with every time there's a suspect at large. There's a suspect at large in Boston, and we had thousands of agents of the state running around with those exact rifles. So, my question to you there, Rosa, why are the agents of the state running around with those rifles in their hands? Is it because they want to kill as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time possible? Is it? Well, let me guess. If you work for the state, then you're part of the elitist ruling class, and so these bills don't apply to you. They only apply to the peasantry because the peasantry has to be disarmed. This is not the bonus hour, and so I can't say all the things I want to say. But
hold on. I just read an even more stupid sentence.
Go ahead.
It says, though DeLauro is in favor of stronger gun laws that would completely ban assault weapons and high-capacity ammunition. So, what is high-capacity ammunition?
Says, though DeLauro is in favor of stronger gun laws that would blah, blah, she emphasized the bill would not force gun owners to turn over their firearms. The legislation would provide up to $2,000 in tax credits for gun owners who voluntarily surrender their rights and liberties to the state. That's not what it says. It says hand over assault weapons to local police departments. The assault weapons legislation comes in response to a horrific Sandy Hook. Doesn't Connecticut already didn't they rush through emergency session legislation? Jared, didn't they do that? Remember in Connecticut, it was so important and it was such a crisis that they had to rush through legislation. Do we not remember the lines of slaves? The people lined up to register their guns and their magazines and so forth in Connecticut. We don't recall that. It was only about a year ago. So that wasn't enough. And see, Jared, I love it when they fall right into our trap, or I love it when I'm right. What have we been telling you for years, literally years, that it's never, ever, 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 ever enough? We have Connecticut that has some of the most draconian, some of the most restrictive firearms laws in the United States. Now, I know you got New York and Illinois and Massachusetts. They're all kind of vying for the top seat, you know. But here we have Connecticut. We're not talking about Arizona. We're not talking about Texas or Utah or Wyoming or Mississippi. We're talking about Connecticut. But this agent of the state, this elitist puke face, there's just not enough. Just not enough. We have to have more. We need to do more to encourage these people to surrender their guns. Jared, have you ever hunted with an AR-15 style rifle?
Yep.
I've killed a lot of animals. There are a lot of animals that went to the happy hunting ground after a bullet was placed into them from an AR-15 style gun. And I'm pretty sure that AR-15s are excellent self-defense tools. So, folks, I just thought you should know about this, and the reason you should know about this is because it reinforces the fact that, A, the state believes that they are exempt from all the laws that they apply to the peasants. It's okay for agents of the state to walk around pointing black rifles at the citizens as they force them illegally out of their homes. That's cool, because there's a suspect at large. And we already have all kinds of gun laws in place, but we need more because they'll never be satisfied. If you think you can placate the anti-gun, the leftist, the progressive statist, if you think you can placate them by being reasonable or meeting them halfway, you're deluding yourself. You're kidding yourself. It's not going to happen. It's not about, well, let's all just be reasonable. Weren't the people in Connecticut already reasonable? And what did they get for being reasonable? They get treated to more of the same. Now, we got one more story that we're going to talk about before we let you go. And this happened. I saw it on theblaze.com. Oh, and speaking of the Blaze, thank you very much to everybody out there in the Student of the Gun audience who shared the PTSD and veteran suicide article that I wrote for the Blaze. It was out on Monday, and we know a lot of you folks out there in the Student of the Gun audience found it and shared it with your friends. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Is your mic on? Are you ready to talk? Or?
Yeah, my mic's on over here. I was just reading this next story and trying to figure out what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Because this is ridiculous. But, whatever. I want to talk about the article that you wrote on the Blaze.
Okay.
If they didn't see it, it was published Tuesday, or was it published Monday?
Monday. It came out Monday.
It came out Monday, and it was, it talked about PTSD and veterans, and it was kind of, I guess it stemmed from the Ted Nugent thing.
Well, that was the catalyst, as Nugent went out and he said that the reason that we have the issues that we're having is because basically the administration has turned its back on and betrayed veterans and current active duty military members, which is not a lie. It's absolutely 100% correct. But when you speak the truth to the elitists, it scares them and they pee a little bit, and then they get their feathers all flustered up.
Yeah, and the video that I saw, it cut it off after he said that people in the service industry, I mean, not service industry, but people in service or who have given service to this country, who have given their lives, their mentality, their mind to this country, told him that the reason things are the way they are with the veterans having PTSD is because the enemy is in the White House.
Yeah, the enemy is here. You can't send somebody overseas. Folks, I'm not going to rehash the article, but let me tell you this. You have to know soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, when they're over there, when they're doing what they're doing, they have to know in their hearts that their nation is behind them. And I can tell you, when I was over there, when I was in there, you don't always agree with everything the government does. I mean, let's take that for granted. But I never for one moment thought while I was serving that the country wasn't behind me. I never for one moment thought that my government would hang me out to dry, would just leave me hanging. I never thought that. It never occurred to me. Today, you can't say that. Veterans today, soldiers today, people that are serving today, that are returning from combat zones, that are in combat zones, yeah, there is that question in their minds. Will my government, will they sacrifice me on the altar of political correctness, of political expediency? You know, if this isn't 100%, and folks, if you're looking for, it's the zero tolerance world. We want perfection out of everything. And here's the convoluted, complicated rules of engagement. And if you violate any of those, even though that you're in a place where people are trying to kill you all the time, if you violate any of those, we're going to burn you down. We're going to destroy your life. We're going to throw you in jail for killing the enemy because you didn't kill them in the manner that we prescribe that you do it. Folks, we're betraying our servicemen. We're betraying our veterans. And when I say we, I'm talking about you and me. You and I. Well, what do you mean, Paul? I don't do that. Really? Who's sitting in the chair at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? You have puke faces like Dianne Feinstein and et al. You have these people like Ted Kennedy, and hot enough down there for you, Ted, who betrayed the soldiers, betrayed the airmen, betrayed the sailors, betrayed the Marines, who made our own troops the enemy, who tried to portray our own troops as being the enemy. And the only reason that they're there, the only reason that these puke-faced scumbags are there is because you and I, we've abdicated our duty as citizens because we're fat and happy and comfortable, and so we're willing to let other people do it. We allow all these bureaucracies to get in place so that we don't have to actually dirty our hands with the duties of citizenship. That's why. And whether it hurts your feelings, whether you don't like it or not, whether it makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. But it is a fact. and until the people of the United States, the citizens of the United States, realize that, you know what, citizenship is a duty, and sometimes you might have to become uncomfortable. You might have to leave your comfort zone and be a citizen. Until we figure that out, it's not going to stop, and it's not going to change. It's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. All right. Last story. Comes to us from theblaze.com, as we mentioned earlier. And the story is, after a man apparently gives us all I hate SEO titles, Jared. I hate them so much. I really do. It's stupid. Gosh, it just read it. It annoys me.
It says, after a man apparently gives us all a lesson on gun safety during a church service, notice what one congregant captured on camera.
All right, well, that convoluted, horrible title for an article, and I'm sorry, I don't care if it's on The Blaze or if it's on the New York Times, that's terrible. It doesn't... Back in the old days, the title told you what the story was all about. Well, here's what happened. Somebody had an ND in a church on Easter. Okay, sucks. So it was a gun shop at a cathedral at the Blessed Sacrament in Altoona, Pennsylvania on Saturday, yada, yada. According to WTAE, the man was standing up during an Easter vigil service when a gun in his pocket went off, grazing his hand and smoke filling the area. Really, Jonathan M. Seidel, who wrote the story, smoke filled the area? What, folks, have you ever fired a gun here recently? Jared, have you fired a gun recently?
It says according to WTAE.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, Jonathan, I'll cut you some slack. Maybe the reporter from WTAE said, and smoke filled the area. So it's like it's like a bar in 1869.
It was a 50 cal.
No, smoke did not fill the area.
Oh, okay,
Modern cartridges have this really cool thing in them called smokeless powder, and it makes just a tiny little bit. Anyway, yada, yada, yada. The Altoona Mirror reported that Officer Christy Heck said the safety was apparently not engaged.
It looks like a Glock.
I don't think it's a Glock. I actually think it's a Kel-Tec. I can't tell.
Oh.
I can't.
Well, whatever.
It doesn't matter. Here's the point. My point is this: number one, it says he stood up and the gun that was in his pocket went off. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, before you get off on this whole, and the reason I'm mentioning this, the whole reason I'm talking about this, is because tons of comments on this article totally miss the point. People are now, they're debating over the use of mechanical safeties on handguns. That's why I'd never own a gun that didn't have a mechanical safety on it, for that very reason. Because in the story it says, it should be noted that not all guns have, quote, safeties. But the officer seemed to be under the impression that the firearm in this case did have one. While that alone is not enough as blah, 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 blah. Here's the deal, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. This person is not a bad person, but this person is not an educated person. Do we put guns naked into our pockets, Jared? Yes or no?
No.
No. Why not? What needs to be covered up?
The trigger.
The trigger. I don't care if it has a decocker, a squeeze cocker, if it has a manual safety lever, whatever. If you're putting a gun, and if you're listening to me right now and you have a Kel-Tec P380 in your pocket naked, you're wrong. I'm sorry it might hurt your feelings, but you're wrong, and you need to stop doing that. We've actually given several reasons why you shouldn't do that. But folks, a pocket holster, a pocket scabbard, whatever you want to call them, they cost maybe $12. Get online, go to your local store, buy a good one. Don't buy the cheap, flimsy ones. Buy one from Tough Products. They're the best that are out there. I'm sorry, but they are. Buy one from Tough Products, stick it in there. Number two, getting all wrapped around the axle about this safety thing. That's why I'd never carry a gun that didn't have a safety. Stop yourself. A J-frame doesn't have a safety, and you all carry those. The Smith & Wesson Model 10, Model 69, Model 66, they didn't have manual safeties, but we all carried those. Oh, but they had a long... Shh, 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 shh. Stop. Cover the freaking trigger. That is the name of the game, and that is the lesson. If you're going to put guns in your pockets, use a pocket holster and keep your booger hook off of the bang switch.
I'm looking at toughproducts.com right now, and it says, pocket Rue holster, $21.
For a good one.
And a junior pocket Rue holster is a junior Rue pocket holster, I guess, is $21 as well. So
okay,
pretty much every single small gun that you can get, there's a pocket holster for it.
Yeah, and so are you like, $20? Are you going to carry the gun every day, or are you just going to carry it like? Are you buying a dust cover, or are you buying a holster?
Here's the deal: pants cost more than $20.
Yeah, that's right.
So rather than rubbing a hole in your pants with your gun, buy the $21 holster. And you get multiple.
How about the embarrassment of shooting the gun off in church?
Yeah,
is that worth $20? An investment of $20?
But why did he have a gun in church? Why do you need a gun in church? Because I don't even understand why he had a gun in his pocket in church.
He's actually being facetious over there. Stop being facetious, because we just exceeded our time limit. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
That's it. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Nope, it's it. That's it for Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, you're a beginner once. But what should you be? Well, you should be a student for life.